time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hi. All right, guys, welcome back and happy Thursday. I can't believe it's December 1st. For those of you who have been following the channel for a while now, one, thank you. And two, this is the anniversary, 1 year anniversary of my best friend's passing. So today is just kind of a strange day, but that's not what we're here to talk about. However, I feel her and Chelsea is in the room, and that I'm so grateful for. Now, with that, guys, we have our special guest, Ryan Bailey, who's going to be joining us today to talk about last night's intense episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. But while we wait on Ryan, I just wanted to point out really quick, if you guys haven't seen this, because everybody's trying to figure out what to get their loved ones for a special gift for the holidays, you can go to roseforever.com. These roses are incredible. Everything organic, vegan when it comes to the way that they're boxed. And on top of that, they're preserved for over a year. So you can go to roseforever.com and use the code Adam25 for $25 off. And when you get your bundle, let me know what you think. Now, with that over 110 in the room, let me say hi to everybody. Hi. Hello. Hi, Adam. Hot Mike is in the room. Oh, fancy. N-Dub. Okay. So while we wait for Ryan, he said that he's coming on. I wanted to ask you guys what you would rate last night's episode, a 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. And then also I went over and I did a poll on my community tab, and I wanted to see what everyone was going to say. So I did the poll literally less than an hour ago, and there's 500 votes. And I said, who is bringing it the most this season? 42% said Jen, 22% said Lisa Barlow, 19% Meredith Marks, and 17% Whitney. With that, I guess now that he's in the room, so bad it's good, with Ryan Bailey, the man himself. He does the nose thing, and he does some, like, you guys know what I mean. I don't know how to do the nose thing. I have a deviated septum, okay? Don't judge. Let's welcome Ryan Bailey.
He does the nose thing. Wow.
I don't know how to do. I can't touch my nose. I'll sneeze.
What's going on? I'm Angie. Yeah. I'm in Heather's choir. All right.
Ryan, part of Heather's choir, Bailey. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
No longer. Now that Jen Armstrong is off the show, are we no longer Ryan Bailey?
I'll always be Ryan Bailey, even if Jen Armstrong is off OC, because it truly is the unique way to spell my name, Ryan, R-Y-A-N. I think that will be Jen Armstrong's legacy on Real Housewives of Orange County, unfortunately.
Wow, that is.
But wait, Adam, wouldn't you want to see her have a second season now, just because she did split up with Ryan, and you would have like awkward dating scenes with Jennifer Armstrong? Like, come on. She is so type A that I would love. It's like we never get to see Erica Jane date, even though she gets so much, play out there, she says. I want to see these things. Let us see them.
See, I don't know. Personally, I want to see Kelly Dodd back on the show now that we have the drama and her saying that she has a lot of dirt and shit on Shannon Bedore. I that's what I want. I just
Kelly,
want
Kelly will. I'm sorry. Kelly will make up things to get Kelly. I feel at this point, Kelly. I need Kelly back on the show just so she can stop asking to be back on the show. Like I want it to stop. I need just let her back on the show already. That's where this is obviously going to head. But I feel like it's a presidential campaign at this point. Like, how many years in a row are you going to beg to get back on the show and at the same time rip on everybody on the show? And that's the way to get back on the show, is to try to create more drama outside of the show than the people in the show are actually creating.
I mean, before we jump into Salt Lake City, if you had to guess right now, are you leaning in the fact that she will be a return housewife, like a Sheree Whitfield, a Tamra Judge, a Brandi Glanville? Or do you think, no, it's not going to happen?
She's a really tough one because I would say normally yes, it would definitely happen. But the thing is, her loose lips, as much as it shows that she would be an amazingly exciting, she's always been an exciting housewife. It's kind of like Mary Cosby in a sense, is that you can't have a direct conversation with her because you can't predict her behavior, so it's sometimes hard to have a conversation with people you can't predict their behavior. Mary Cosby suffered from this as well, and Kelly has said so many, not even potentially, so many hateful things that I think in this day and age it really might not be the time for her, but who knows what it'll happen in a couple years. I mean, you just interviewed her. What did you think? Would you want her back on the show?
1000%. Only because in my interview and spending time with her and Rick, I realized she is every bit of the person that you see on the show. She really is a housewife. Like in the moment that we interviewed her, she was going to a tea party. She had to go to the spa. She had like 5 things going on at once. And she was like kind of sporadic all over the place, but getting shit done. And I was just watching and I'm like, holy cow, this is
okay. But I think there's a different. I agree with all of that, but I feel like we're already watching the Kelly Dodd reality show if you pay attention to her life. Like, she puts out a press release every day. Like, I just read something yesterday that Shannon Bedore's a liar, that Tamra Judge refuses to talk to her anymore. So I feel like I'm getting Kelly Dodd updates every day. Plus, she has her own YouTube channel and the Instagram. So I feel like I almost know her story more than I know what any of these other ladies are up to at this moment. Now, if she comes in there, you also have to worry about almost like a Noella syndrome where she tries to make too many things happen all at once. Because I have a feeling like, you know, those people, like I started off as an actor in this business and you'd go into commercial auditions and they'd be like, whoa, you're doing way too much. Just be real. Just be real. Just chill out. And I feel like she would almost throw everything against the wall and it would be entertaining for like a couple of episodes, and then we would go back to what we kind of initially were annoyed with Kelly Dodd to begin with on the show. Like, sometimes it was amazing, and sometimes it was like, yo. But I don't know. I always get this sense, Adam, that like she's an amazing housewife, but there's got to be more women out there not discovered that are just as amazing. Like, I almost wish casting that's the feeling I get with Salt Lake too, dude, is that like, why I feel like we're making these people be friends or kind of friends, and it's not a natural friend group. So you run into this issue of Heather Gay kind of being like, I don't even want to be here, really. I don't even care. Like, it's hard to watch sometimes.
Which is, to your point, the reason that Vanderpump Rules was so successful in the beginning was because it was an authentic group of friends, and that really translated for the viewers. So no, it's a good point. I think that,
or Vanderpump Rules, like Vanderpump Rules, they were friends that first season, all friends, and you saw the magic that created.
Right. And last time I did my Salt Lake City recap, I had Jen Shah on to do it with me, and when I did, she was talking about Tamra and the interaction that happened at BravoCon, and she called her 2 pussies in a pod. And I was like, oh my God. And then Tamra messaged me on Instagram, and I was like, Tamra, this might be unpopular opinion. I think because I heard what happened with Tamra and Heather, and Tamra like obliterated Heather Dubrow this season. And she said at BravoCon on the panel that all of the women were afraid of her. One person who I know for a fact would not be afraid to go up against her would be Kelly Dodd. And that's part of the reason where I sway in that direction. But I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking Orange County. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So on your way in, don't forget to smash that like button. Ryan, rating last night's episode 1 to 10. You like your Salt Lake City women. Where are you going?
Okay, I'm going with a solid 7 on this episode, but only because the previous episode was a 3. The previous episode before that was so bad to me, with the husbands eating barbecue and the choir first practice, where I just felt it was so clunky. This is just a personal opinion, but I thought last night we were starting to return to form. I mean, it really is interesting, and you've interviewed Jen Shah recently, but Jen Shah pouring a drink on Angie's head and then going, I thought it was just like fun. Like, you know, it's like this is part of Jen Shah's issue, is that she makes up just blatant excuse lies after she gets called out on her behavior. And then she gets shocked that she's called out on her behavior. So she yells harder and faster and stronger than any of those other ladies. And it's weird because you start to see the cult of Jen Shah around those ladies. So I thought last night's episode was fascinating in so many ways. What did you think?
I mean, honestly, I was not expecting the drink dump. And also, in our interview with Jen Shah, I saw how long glam takes. So I was definitely not expecting. No, but I mean, that's not a diss on Jen Shah. I'm saying, like, I've seen it. I saw it with Caroline Stanbury at Bravo. I've seen it with a lot of these women. Glam is like no joke. It takes a long time for these women to get that, like, I look like a superstar sort of situation. I mean, they're all beautiful anyways. It's not that hard, but glam legit does take a long time. And even when I did my Fallon interview, glam took 6 hours. She started off and she had Waffle House in the morning. They were glamming her up. And then before we sat down, she had Chick-fil-A. And then before we got to our actual interview, she was having her assistant go get something else. And I was like, holy shit. This is much going on.
Congrats on her metabolism, first off. But, like, also, there was that scene last night where Jen Shah wasn't in glam, and I was like, whoa! I was like, she was in bed with Coach Shah, remember? And, like, there was a scene where I was like, oh my, like, the difference between, and I don't mean she's ugly, I just mean there's a huge difference between being in glam and being not in glam, and you realize what a difference it makes. I have the women from Facetune, that app on the podcast today, and we were talking about some of the housewives. Like, we were talking about some of, like, the Dubai housewives. They're just naturally beautiful, and then some, you know, at BravoCon there must have been a run on glam squads because everybody was just so done up.
Everybody, yes, to the nines. And speaking of which, the Facetune girls, did you enjoy that?
I did enjoy that. I thought they were really funny. I met them at BravoCon, and I liked the way, because I created the FBI, which is the Facetune Bureau of Investigation, where we try to really break down a lot of the, you know, because you guys got to be careful out there. You got to use it carefully, especially during the holiday season, and our kids are out there, and we got to explain to them the rights and wrongs. So we were trying to talk about using Facetune responsibly this holiday season, because we see a lot of these housewives, they just go crazy. I mean, they don't even know what they're doing half the time. They end up erasing a nostril like Gretchen Rossi. And then it's like, that's just not, you know, like you look like one of the creatures from Avatar all of a sudden. So it was actually a really fun interview if you guys want to check it out later. But yeah, no, I like them a lot.
I'm done with you, man.
Sorry. Hey, I just woke up, man. I just woke up. I'm like this. I'm getting red. This is.
It almost makes me wonder what we would look like with, like, a beat glam face. Like,
wait, Adam. By the way, Adam's not the best looking dude in this, like, in what we do, and he's like, I wonder what I would look like with Facetune. You would look the same. You're like a great looking dude. I would be like how Jax is starting to look, like, on his Instagram thing where he goes like this, and he's like, have you seen those Instagrams of Jax now where he's like using so many filters? Yeah.
God. Okay. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning. You could tell Ryan's drinking his coffee and he is ready to go.
I came to play. Let's go.
My cheeks hurt right now. All right. So we kick off this episode and we are getting Zen Jin because she is going through Ramadan, and she, in this moment, this is not a time for her to be combative. It's more of a time for her to sit back and whatever you have to say, she is going to hit it with a Zen Jin sort of persona. And Meredith takes advantage of this in the sense that she's like, well, since you're so zen, let's talk about Dana. And she's like, okay, let's talk about Dana. Meredith's like, I really think you guys can get to a better place. I think that we can make this work. I think it's going to be good. I think she should be invited on the trip. And Jen agrees. She's like, maybe we can move forward and make it on the trip. But of course, shady editing brought us over to this moment where Heather Gay is sitting down with Dana and also Angie. This, first of all, I felt so bad for Angie in this moment because this is where Angie finds out she is not invited to San Diego. And then Dana's sitting there talking about how she's invited as a friend of a friend, but also she's like, I don't understand you women. How are you letting Jen, like, how do you guys, I don't like the way that she talks to people, and she keeps labeling her as a bully.
Okay. I'm sorry, but Dana, hi, and I did wake up like this. But I think finally that Dana Banana is us, is the voice of reason almost, is like, yo, this is not how you talk to your friends. This is what I'm noticing as an outsider. Like, we've noticed this for a couple of seasons. And I think Jen Shah is still one of the most entertaining housewives out there, even with all of the criminal charges. But at the same time, you cannot disagree that she does not, that this is definition bullying, and she will shout you down before you. And so Dana Banana is like, yo, this is what I'm noticing, in a very calm, steady voice. And it's interesting to see the other ladies. And Angie in that scene is funny, because Angie, if you just watch Angie's reactions, it's like you can tell she really wants to be on the show, but she's like, her eyes are telling like this story of like, I'm not invited on the show. Tell me more about this trip that I'm not invited on. Tell me more about this. And when you're also missing that first scene where we see Jen Shah pulling out all her medications while they're doing flashbacks of the police and all of that stuff, which was like an insane scene where talking about Ramadan and all that, like pulling out the pill prescriptions. So I don't know. I thought this whole episode was pretty strong.
I mean, wow. Okay. So then fast forward, we're going over and we're getting ready to go to San Diego. Now, it was interesting to hear Whitney, because Whitney's like, another domestic trip. Like, here we go.
Another domestic trick, because we can't go out of state. Yeah.
I think that, they went out of state, but I think that Whitney was like, I'm over here watching all of these other fucking women, even the ultimate girls trip women, and they're all getting to go out of the country. What the fuck is this? But she's like, okay, I'll take San Diego.
Well, Whitney does eventually get to go out of the country in Ultimate Girls Trip Season 3, so at least she gets that. But I guess that was Thailand. She made it, but I guess that's not that great of a trip for them either in terms of Heather and Whitney. But yeah, she made it to San Diego, and I got to say, I was worried. Weren't you worried about the house? Like, just because the Arizona house was so bashed on, I was so interested to see what this house would look like, but I thought it was a nice house.
I thought it was a great house. I just thought it was interesting that we always know, and one of the things that people love the most, guys, smash that like button. End up, thank you. Ryan showing off. Like, I woke up like this. Thank you, Indub. We love you. It's always a battle of the rooms, which is actually really entertaining. But in this instance, I think that Jen, in her mind, she was like, I'm throwing this girl's trip, which means I get to pick the best room because I am the host. And Angie's over here like, well, it's my friend's house, so I'm picking the best room. And this obviously kicks shit off the wrong way. But before we got there, I also thought it was surprising. I know that Dana and Jen aren't necessarily getting along, but when you get to an airport, even when I'm in a situation where with somebody that I don't like, I still can Karen and Charisse it and be like, hey, how are you? Good. And then wait for them to turn around, and then I'll go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. In defense though of Dana Banana, I do get really awkward. I mean, I know I like have a big voice and stuff, but I get really awkward. Like, there were many times at BravoCon where I would like be afraid to say hello to someone, and I would just stand there like awkwardly. Like, I do get that way where I get super nervous. So I'm hoping that it was just Dana being like, I am really nervous to go up and say this, and it's early at an airport, and I don't want Jen Shah to yell at me. But who knows? Maybe she was pulling complete attitude. I just noticed that Dana seems to, whenever she says something so far from a calm place. So I don't know. It was obviously a very awkward moment, and I was excited when it was over.
Right. Yes, I was excited when it was over too. And then, fast forward, we get to San Diego, we get to the house. Who's more in the wrong here before the drink drop? Okay, so we have a situation where the friends, first of all, I've been on trips with my friends before too, and I'm never the one fighting for the room. I just don't give a shit. I'm like, stick me on the couch. I don't care. I'm not bougie.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, give me a bunk bed, a trundle, a futon. I don't care. Like, give me 4 pillows on the ground. I'll make it work.
No, like I listen, I'll sleep in my car. I honestly don't. As long as I'm invited to begin with, I'm already excited. But it was one of those things that was like, first off, you got to think the Real World. They're the initial show that like really started up fighting over rooms. And then that really continued to the Housewives, and like Housewives, these are always the best scenes. But Jen Shah and Angie should have gone in already agreeing with like kind of where the floor plan was and all of that stuff. And especially if Angie is paying and she seems to be the one that had organized this trip to begin with, there should have been more clarification on like, Jen, why don't you go around? I feel like the clarification was lost there. Angie came off annoying, but also Angie, if you were paying and stuff, I would totally understand doing
I don't
the
think she
showing
paid
around
for
of
the
rooms.
trip. I think she was talking about paying for Coach's birthday.
She did, but I also assumed because of last episode when they were talking in the pool, saying like, "Are you excited for San Diego, girl? I got this." I thought she had said something like that 2 episodes ago. So I'm just assuming that Jen Shah was not putting up money for this San Diego house.
San Diego. Okay.
Well,
Well, now that we have them in the house, of course, the other women, Heather Gay's like, I would love like the outhouse, whatever it's called, the mother-in-law suite, whatever you want to call it. I don't care, but I don't want to fight with you guys. And the rest of the women are just like, I'll take room 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. But this set an obvious negative tone between Angie and Jen. Then we get this whole like, Jen's like, okay, the room situation, it's done. We're moving on. Guys, this is what we're going to do. And this was right after they got into this conversation of, we have CEO of Fun, Meredith Marks over here. And she's like, listen, one rule, number one rule, don't be a bitch unless you're going to be a fun bitch. Okay. So now we're sitting there talking about, guys, this is what's going to happen. We're going to go on to a Sprinter van on the water and it's going to be a great time. And Angie starts busting out laughing. And Jen looks at her like, girl, why don't you fucking say it? Because you fucked up the rooms. And I was like, oh shit, this is not going to go good. I was not expecting the drink toss.
Yes. By the way, that it can't be the answer for everything as a drink toss on these shows. And by the way, Mia Thornton from Potomac always has the same kind of jam too, where she'll throw salad or she'll throw, like, we can't just make this a normal thing. There's got to be penalties like there are in football when, like, you know, Jen Shah needs to be fined for that drink throw because that was so just out of nowhere for me. I don't feel like that was warranted at all, and it kind of just for the calmness of the conversation at that point did not warrant a drink throw.
Okay, for Ryan Spider-Man coffee mug, thank you, Tess-ish. We appreciate you. Question though, what would warrant a drink throw?
Well, I think if there was like. If she was like, F you, Jen Shah, I'm the one that did this. I'm the one that paid for Coach Shah's. If she put the Coach Shah's birthday line right there, then that would warrant the drink throw. If she said, you embarrass yourself in front of all your friends, like if she said what Giselle said to Erica Jane of like, I don't have to embarrass you. You do that all on your own, Erica Jane. If that was said, then of course throw the drink. But Jen Shah just threw the drink really calmly, all that stuff. And but then the worst part was Jen Shah making excuses for why she threw the drink afterwards, like it was some kind of fun girl party thing that you do when you're having a turn up time. I've never had fun like that where I've thrown a drink on somebody's head for fun.
I think I can dissect this.
Okay.
So we had Teresa Giudice on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and she talked about at BravoCon, one of the moments that she regrets was agreeing with Danielle Staub that she should pull Margaret Joseph's hair. And she's like, yeah, I kind of like, she came up and asked me and I said, yeah, do it. I didn't think it was going to be that aggressive, but I also don't know what Teresa thought a hair pull would be because that is aggressive. But then she said, I thought it would make for great TV. So I'm wondering in this moment, if when Jen did this, she really thought in her mind, we're filming a TV show. I'm going to like, this is kind of like one of those, is it polarizing? Is it what? Is it going to catch the fans off guard? Is it going to be something that makes it in the trailer? Is it going to catch the ratings when they put the preview out? I'm wondering if she was thinking about it almost from like a producer hat perspective, as opposed to like dumping it and then being like, oh shit, I shouldn't have dumped it. But I don't know. I mean, I'm also not.
No. I totally get what you're saying. But in my personal opinion, I want to encourage housewives to stop doing that. I think there's enough natural chemistry and actual conversation and things going on with these ladies that we don't need to do the production's job for them. Please stop producing for yourselves, because then it becomes like in our heads, it becomes like, well, this doesn't seem like a form of reality. Also, it just makes Jen Shah just seem batshit crazy in such a different level where you're like, oh, no wonder you're going to prison. You just seem complete. Like the audience doesn't like the audience then, like, as much as it's funny to watch a drink get thrown on your head, just like it's funny to watch somebody do a pratfall or trip over something, it just doesn't make any sense. And then it really leads to, I mean, it creates tension, but it creates a false tension in some ways because you end up really upsetting Angie. And we did get some amazing stuff out of that with Coach Shah's birthday later in the limo. But at the same time, I just thought, like, yo, can't we leave it to the ladies to actually have natural conversations that lead to something and not have this happen through a drink throw? She totally threw Angie's shoe. No, she threw it. I think she threw Angie's shoe. I think the Angie thing continues.
I'm going to go with Dana. I don't think she knew. I think she just knew it was none of their shoes that were right there. Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious. We'll see. I'm going to go with Dana. We'll have to revisit this. But does it negate what she did by dumping the drink on herself?
No, I mean, come on. That was after she realized it was a poor move. That was, it doesn't negate anything. It was after, like, oh, see, I'll do it to myself. Like, it was so awkward. And then what was even more awkward was her going outside. I think it was with Heather and Meredith and going, like, come on, guys, that was funny. Like, that was meant to be a fun. You guys know, we all throw drinks on each other's heads. Like, she has this distorted reality that she starts trying to convince people that's true. And then you're like, this is exactly how Jen Shah does what she does, is that, like, she starts convincing people that these things that are not normal are normal. Like, you guys know, we all throw drinks on each other's head. And I'm like, no, that's just you. That's not normal behavior. It's just not. And, like, if Adam, if your best friend did that to you out of nowhere when, you know, just you said one thing, you would be livid in front of your other friends. You just would be. It would not be called for at all. Like, so to me, I expect that stuff from Jen Shah, but I don't think it was warranted. And I don't think it should be just been like, well, we were just having a good time in San Diego.
Right. Okay. Lit Real Red, thank you so much. Red, miss you. We appreciate you. Now, moving forward, we have this moment, and I thought it was interesting because Jen was like, she's really not going to take it that serious because we have known each other for over 20 years. Like, we went to college together. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And then we pan over, editing, to Angie K upstairs, and she's like hysterical, pissed, probably embarrassed, feeling all of the emotions. And then it's like, okay, well then let's go on a yacht. Because what's better than to put yourself in an awkward situation with a bunch of women that you really aren't getting along with? Let's go on a boat where we can't escape it. Let me just say really quick, Jason and I just went to a dinner party from hell 2 weeks ago that I talked about on my members only live. Political conversation came up. It got so uncomfortable. And we ended up kind of going our separate ways and just agreeing to disagree, but really like not in the best way. And then I get an invite because we have our Christmas boat parade here in Palm Beach County coming up on this Saturday, that's what you do. Let's decorate our boat with Christmas lights. Okay. And
sounds fun.
Yeah, it is fun. But we get an invite and it's like, hey, we're going to be a part of the parade. We have this like tiki boat with 40 people on it, and it's a minimum of 3 hours. I looked at Jason and I said, you're out of your fucking mind. Am I putting my ass on a boat for 3? I'll go sit at a restaurant, tiki bar on the water, watch this shit. I'm not putting myself on a boat. No way. And if I was a housewife, also no way.
No, I mean, obviously it's a bad situation, but for us, the audience, at that point, if we're dealing with the Jen Shah aftermath, it's good for us, the audience, because we know that we're going to see some awkward behavior. At that point, we do know that, like, okay, now we've set up our basic things, and we watch that limo ride over where Angie actually fully goes after Jen, and Dana jumps in, and we find out the information about Coach Shah and paying for the birthday party, which, by the way, what did you think of that? Like, the $15,000 for the birthday party. When you host a birthday party, are you assumed that you have to foot the whole bill, or should Jen Shah have paid for Coach Shah's birthday party?
First of all, I don't run in the same kind of like circles as these women, because $15,000 to me, like, I always say too, like, I don't want a wedding because I can use that money as a down payment on a house. So I'm not used to like Heather DeBro, like, I invited you bitches to a $30,000 Nobu lunch and you f***ed it up. I'm thinking in my head, do you know what? I could go buy a Kia Forte. I mean, I don't want one, but I could. I could go buy a Kia. Like, I can go buy.
I drive a Toyota Corolla. I could pay my Toyota Corolla off. Like, I mean, yeah, they're like 15 grand. I'm like, no, you can have your party outside at like a picnic, like one of those parks, you know?
Yeah, Robin Dixon, she doesn't mess this up. She has family fun day and throws a couple like balls on the ground and she's like, haha, $15. Here we go. You know what I mean?
But
like,
I get this feeling that Jen Shah expected Angie to pay for it, and like she expects her friends, and that one scene of like Jen giving like, I gave you a necklace the other day, and it was like a necklace that she was wearing the day of, and like, here you go, and I was like, wow. And then she says, I wouldn't take anything that the Southern District might want, or what was the line? It was like, it was insane.
It was something to that effect, and I don't know. I guess I see, I always like to play devil's advocate, but I see where Jen is like, when I threw Meredith an $90,000 birthday, I didn't ask for the money back. So then that's her perspective.
That is her perspective, but Adam, remember that was what started off the whole series, and Jen treated that like her birthday party. See, it's the same thing we're running into with the Angie and Jen thing, is that was supposedly Meredith's birthday party, but remember the whole plot line was that Jen acted like it was her party, and also $90,000. Let's stop bringing up these big figures of money you spent, Jen, especially this year. Like, don't say stuff like this. You're getting yourself in further trouble, because we do realize how recklessly you were spending other people's money. But that... Oh, did we just drop out?
No.
Oh.
You're good.
Oh.
Do you remember when that one girl walked in and she's like, happy birthday to you? And they were in the middle of like a conversation and Jen's like, it's not my birthday, girl. I was like, this is going to be a great franchise. But so I don't know. But one thing that I was a little taken aback by, and here's the thing that I feel like we've learned in the Housewives world. It's, if you have something on your mind, usually you have to put it out there. Like, if you reserve your opinions or how you're feeling about something or someone, you're probably not going to be asked back for another season. And if you do, you're probably on trial, right? But for Lisa, she's like telling Angie K pretty much that she's now kicking herself for not calling Jen out on her bad behavior before. And I'm like, that's not how this works, because all of the, like, you kind of have to call people out on their shit in the moment. Even Whitney, who comes off and like you do her voice and sometimes it seems like she might be a little bit timid, I have to give it to her because she stands up and she like calls shit out.
I am so proud of Whitney this season. And sometimes people might, I've heard comments about Whitney and like, but you got to realize Whitney is truly actually doing work on herself. Like, she's seeing therapists, she's seeing healers, she's seeing all of these people. And so sometimes that's all, like, remember, when you're working on yourself that hard, that's all you're thinking about is every relationship in your life and if it's good or bad. And that's what we're seeing is like that kind of Whitney right now. I really truly admire her because it takes a lot of balls to really try to determine right from wrong and really try to understand people, even Lisa Barlow. So my hat's off to Whitney this season. Heather, I believe, is going the complete opposite way of where she used to be. Like, Heather is so... I mean, I truly believe Jen Shah has put some kind of spell on Heather Gay where she is not a truth teller anymore, when I thought she used to be the most reliable narrator on Salt Lake.
Wow. All right. Akiko said no one should demand payment back without making that explicitly clear before the money is spent. So that's on Angie.
Can you imagine making that mistake though? Like, I was like, oh shoot, I didn't make that clear and now I have to eat $15,000. But by the way, it seems like Angie can afford it. But by the way, did you see that thing afterwards that didn't Angie's husband get in the mix with Jen Shah over social media a couple weeks ago? Like, didn't he say something nasty online about Jen Shah? Like, this stuff like spills out over into the social media world of it all, which is like always when it gets even scarier because they're not filming.
You never know how it's going to work, especially when the husbands get involved. It always gives me the Nene vibes when she's yelling at Peter saying, stay out of grown women's business. And I'm like, but then to be fair, back to the party aspect of it all, Drew Sidora made it very clear when Sheree Whitfield walked in and they were throwing that little birthday party last season. She's like, where's my money? Because we agreed we're splitting this. But then She by Sheree was like, no, girl, I didn't tell you to get this tacky ass birthday together, this party with all of what are these balloons? They're hanging. This is a children's birthday party. And Drew's like, that is not what we agreed on. You said you were paying part of it. So I guess
you just need to keep Venmo requesting them and then like screenshot the Venmo request every day and put it on social media. Like that's what you just have to do every day. But yeah, no, like I get Akiko's point too of like like if you didn't expressly say that. And also you have to also think that Angie was probably trying to be on the show. Like she wants to be a part of the show. So yeah, this is going to be a party at her house and she wants it to look good. So yeah, I mean, I get both sides. I just think that Jen Shah is not appreciative and she's not an appreciative person a lot of the times. I was even thinking about, remember that first season when they went to Vegas and Jen Shah set up that whole clothing experience for Heather Gay? And then was like, you didn't thank me for that clothing experience or whatever. And she was like, you know, trying on all these outfits and she had set up like a personal shopping experience. And it's just very interesting, these big grand things these ladies do for each other. And you have to wonder how much of that is from their own heart and how much of that is them trying to make good TV.
And also, I wonder how much of that these women sometimes actually pay for, or how much of that comes from production.
Yeah, do you know that, Adam? Do you know like is that San Diego house, like is that paid for by Angie and Jen, or is that paid for by production? Like, do you know how that, like, that's the stuff that I get more fascinated with the more I watch it, is like what is covered and what isn't, because I know on Winter House they were paying for their own drinks a lot of the times.
Well, see, that's so funny because Vanderpump Rules, they do not pay for their food and drinks, you know, but then I would imagine like for the house, if it was in fact Angie's friend's house, I would imagine that her friend probably would have been like, yeah, sure, come film at the house. And the way that the rooms were set up, it seems like this is clearly an Airbnb situation where they probably make a lot of money. And I would also imagine that Bravo would offer like a stipend or something where Angie can go back to her friend and be like, we're going to film in this house. It's going to be promoted on the show, but also they're giving you $5,000 to let us use the house for filming. Like that's how I would think it would go. I don't think that Angie's just like, you get a $15,000 party, you get a $10,000 trip. Like if she's doing that, then somebody's trying really hard to get that snowflake and be on the show. And then we're like buying our way on the show.
Well, I mean, because it's always the classic scene though. Like even like 2 episodes ago when we found out about the San Diego trip, you always have that awkward housewife scene where they're at a pool or at a restaurant, like, oh, by the way, I have a birthday coming up and I'd like to invite everybody to Acapulco. Like you always have those kind of setup scenes because they're already planned this. So, you know, production's involved, like, so you know they have to find a way to set up the vacation that was planned. And I always wonder, like, is that planned by producers or is it planned by the ladies and they go to the producers and say, hey, I want to take these girls on the trip, and because they have to start, you know, getting tickets for the producers, the cameramen, getting places for them. So I always think about like the production standpoint, how it's all put together.
Right. No, I mean, it's like you said, it's more fascinating sometimes to know what's going on off camera than actually what we're watching in front of us play out. But
especially this season, don't you think? Like, especially like, I mean, I would have loved when you talked to Jen, did you ask like what it was like filming, knowing all of this stuff was going down around her and there was only certain things she could actually talk about on the actual show? Like, that's the weird part, is that every time I watch, I'm thinking about Jen Shah's trial and it gets brought up here and there, but not in any kind of specific way. And you're like, this is wild. Once again, we're focusing on Meredith and Lisa fighting, or Dana Banana, and I'm like, this is just wild to me that we all act like this isn't happening on the other side, you know?
Yeah. You know, first of all, Ryan, not to be confused.
Ryan. Yeah. Call my name Ryan, please.
Ryan. I feel like this is the equivalent of a don't kiss and tell. I have many conversations that I really enjoy with our housewives, and I will never, ever.
No, I didn't mean, no. I mean, I didn't mean, like, I know you just interviewed her live though. It's you. Like, I know you don't kiss and tell, but I'm just very curious about all of that stuff because it's got to be like walking this delicate tightrope of what you can and can't put on the season with actually what is going on in your reality. I think the Kardashians this season suffered from that as well, of they get to put all these like amazing things that they're doing, but there's this whole show behind the show that we know that's happening that they can't show on TV. Exactly. Like they can't show it on TV. So they're showing all these amazing things, but deep down we know the darkness that lies beneath. And so it makes for this kind of weird viewing experience where the audience is like the reality of reality. It's very weird to watch for the audience at times because you're thinking like, man, what is she really thinking right now? Like, is she scared right now? Is she like, the audience is left to kind of make up these big decisions of what is going on in their heads during these moments. Yeah, I'm thinking about this way too deeply, by the way, you guys. I mean, this should just be fun. And I'm like, I'm too in deep. I'm in too deep.
You know, I received, when I did my last recap with Jen, I thought it was so interesting because I even did a disclaimer at the disclaimer at the beginning of that recap. And I said, this is not about the legal stuff because obviously we know that Jen has to go back to court and that's something that's like going to play out. But I saw where some people were like, this is, you know, so ridiculous. And this was such an opportunity for her to talk about the legal stuff because she's already, you know, changed her plea and stuff like that. And it's like, do we not watch Emily D. Baker? Have we not learned that anything that you do can impact, like if you haven't already received that sentencing and you don't know what the is going to happen, a lot of the things that you do, maybe even like what we're seeing on TV, can impact that decision.
But Adam, at the same time, can't you throwing glasses on your friends impact the decision as well and saying, wow, this person is reckless. This person has an anger. This person. That's my question too, is that I understand exactly what you're saying, but it works both ways. Like it was like the thing with Erica Jane on Beverly Hills last season of like, maybe these victims are lying. Like, can you say that? Like you're allowed to bring in victims are lying, but you can't actually express concern for these victims, but you can actually bring up that they're lying. That was always confusing to me because I'm like, wait, I get then, like, if you're going to not say something, then don't bring up the idea that these victims could be lying and faking. Like, it goes both ways. So I understand it, but I also think Jen would like be chill and not be throwing drinks and yelling and all of that stuff.
Totally. And, you know, to kind of further this point too, there was a very famous judge. I don't know her name right off the top of my head, but she has her own show and she recently commented on the Chrisleys and their sentencing. And she felt like the Chrisleys sentencing was a little bit more harsh because of the way that they navigated, not in the courtroom, this whole situation with talking about it on the podcast, maintaining their innocence, not like really owning up or coming off sympathetic to anything. And she said that
you think they got a stricter sentence for that.
Yeah, she feels like it came back and bit them in the ass and got them a stricter sentence. And I that's the thing is like, before the Emily D. Baker of it all and Legally Blonde, just saying, before that, I really never gave a shit about a courtroom. I just knew that I never wanted to be in one. I just knew that, like, I heard horror stories about jury duty and I heard horror stories about going before a judge. So I never wanted to be a part of a courtroom.
I just had to show up for like a jury duty thing. And I was just praying the whole day that I didn't get picked. And like, that's my extent of like, I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, I'll show up, I'll try to do my civic duty, but I never want to be sued. I don't want Diana Jenkins to sue me. I don't want anybody to sue me. Like I say allegedly everything. Like, no, nobody wants to be in a courtroom. Like, and if you, I mean, like that's gotta be just awful to have hanging over your head.
I agree. Well, as we move forward, we know that somebody's shoe is going to be thrown off, and we know that Meredith's concern for Jen is starting to grow as she speaks about this. Lisa Barlow feels like she wishes that she would have called Jen out, and we can see that the dynamics are clearly starting to shift. But they haven't shifted yet to the extent of what we know the dynamics are today, meaning we know based off of photos and videos that Angie Harrington, Meredith Marks, Jen Shah, and Heather Gay are all friends. And then I believe, as long as things haven't changed, but you never know because as soon as the show starts airing out, then problems arise all over again. But it's Lisa Barlow, Whitney Rose, Dana, not to be confused with Dana Banana, unless that's what you want to call her, and Angie K. So that's not the dynamic that we have yet on the show, but we're starting to see that shift. What are you looking forward to most as we move forward?
I gotta say, I was really, I mean, as awkward as it might have been, I was really impressed by Angie K last night. I was like, okay, Angie K, like, she came to play. Like, she's saying some really hard stuff in that limo that was probably like almost too much at times. But I'm like, obviously the producers are like, you gotta say this and this and this, or you gotta, but I'm glad she jumped into it. I'm glad she jumped into the fray. And we saw that she had been a good friend to Jen Shah up to this point. But I was like, okay, good. Like, she is here to actually actively be involved in drama, and it gave me hope. And we do know that the Dana stuff gets worse because we've seen the season trailer. That's going to be interesting as well. But this next episode seems the next episode preview where they're all at dinner and Heather Gay. And by the way, Heather Gay is starting to pull a Meredith Marks. I'm disengaging, and it needs to stop. She's not allowed to
There's
keep
only one person
away.
who can disengage.
She's not. You've got to find these ladies when you can't walk away. You can't physically manhandle Whitney and put her out of your house. Like, you've got to stop doing that when you just can't. Like, I feel like she's getting to a point where she just doesn't want to be in the mix, and she doesn't. I don't know, but it's not working for me as a viewer. I don't like it. And we see that she does it again next week. She's like, you lost Jen Shah. And she walks off. And it's like, you lost Heather Gay. There is no walking off. We do not walk off.
Two things really quick before we end up wrapping this up. One, I agree with you totally on the Angie thing, because it seemed like she was trying to piggyback off of Jen the entire season. And when something was going on with Jen, or Jen was upset, she was like, but Jen, instead of really having like her own opinion, which is not, it's not giving us like a huge, strong personality. It's giving us like sort of sidekick vibe. So this was the first moment that I saw her, and she was just really kind of saying, this is how I feel. This is what I'm going to say. And then I think she even threw out the word bitch. And I was like, whoa. And then the other thing was, what did you feel? My last question for you. How did you feel about Heather Gay trying to give Dana the sort of tidbit advice of, don't go against the hostess?
Dude, that was like, okay, so imagine Dana comes calmly talking to Heather Gay. Like, calmly, right. Like, this was not like she's like, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I thought like Heather was actually listening. And then all of a sudden, Heather ends the scene with, here's a piece of advice. Don't go against her. And I'm like, and it really kind of was, that chilled me, because I was like, it really was one of the first times where like people have said it before and joked about it before, but like, what does Jen Shah have over these ladies? Like, I don't understand, because Jen, just from the show, I don't know her personally, has said horrific things about Heather, she's one of the people that brought up Meredith was cheating on Seth on the first season of the show. Like, we all seem to forget all of these things that Jen has done. And I'm like, by some kind of magic mysticism, it just gets forgotten about, and they're all scared of Jen Shah. Like, they're like, don't cross her. And I don't understand that behavior. Like, I still feel like I'm missing a huge piece when I watch this show, because at this point, I don't get that at all. Like, I just don't understand it. Instead of Heather going, listen, let me be your friend. And like, I totally get it. This is how I've always dealt with Jen. She's a loving person deep down, but sometimes she'll say things that'll turn your hair white. But that's kind of like, but here are Jen's strengths. Instead, she kind of gives this kind of Godfather and like, don't go against the Godfather, and I think it's like, dude, what don't we know here? Like, honestly, what don't we know? I don't understand it.
I think I understand it. I think I know.
What is it?
I think what is happening here is, when you have a situation like this group of ladies, like, for example, let's compare them to like Potomac. Nobody's facing any real like legal situation. Nobody has like the fate of like where they're going to potentially be. Like, none of that is looming over them. So then you find them in some moments where they're like, you bitch, or here's this, or they kind of hold back a little bit, but they all give each other shit, and they're not afraid to do that. I think what we're seeing on this show is, it's kind of like when you have a situation with somebody who, and this is just totally, I'm not saying anything bad or anything like that, this is a situation where you're awaiting to go before a court and you don't know what's going to happen and you don't know if you're ever going to be on the show again. I think that makes it a little bit dangerous for the other women because they're like, oh shit, you might not have anything to lose. You might go out there and put all the shit out there as one last like, you. And I think that probably is scary. I think that's scary for people.
Well, so you think, wait, so you're saying that they're trying to be on their best behavior around Jen so Jen doesn't blow up their spots and their secrets?
I think that right now you have somebody who, the way that Andy has talked about the situation, the way that, you know, saying like, we might have to cut ties or whatever, and then not knowing, would you, like at the time she didn't know, when I go to trial, am I going to win my trial? Am I not going to win it? I think that for the ladies, they were just assuming that she was not going to win the trial and that, like Whitney said in her confessional, that, you know, she might end up having to do some time. And I think that puts them in a very dangerous position because then if Jen does know shit before she goes, if you guys are so comfortable talking about her trial and the things that you're saying on Watch What Happens Live and speaking about her and her family or defending Shah Exposed or anything like that, why would Jen not go out with a bang? Why would she not rip into every single person? And I think that's scary for people.
It is scary, though, but at the same time, I feel like there's a little bit of an emperor has no clothes aspect here where we saw it, and I hate to keep comparing it to Erika Jayne, but it's just the most recent on my mind with Beverly Hills, is that once, you know, Erika Jayne's power usually came from her money and the attitude that came along with it. Once those other ladies realized the money was gone, like Sutton was like, I don't care what you say, Erika Jayne, I say, you know, like, I don't care what you, like, she was able to like fully stand up to Erika because she realized like, you don't got money, I got more money than you, what are you talking about? And I think in Salt Lake, though, I just feel like there is a little bit of emperor has no clothes because I feel like this bravado that we see from Jen, we're now seeing like court documents and things like that say like, yo, like you aren't as powerful as you made yourself out to be. And you need to, I don't know. I hope we see a switch in Jen by the end of the season where there is a little bit more humbleness. There is, and by the way, because no matter what anybody wants to say or anybody's feelings on Jen, I know Jen is like a hugely popular housewife. At the end of the day, we still are going to see her change her plea. That is not something that they're going to like it magically doesn't happen anymore. That does happen, and we will see that happen in some form, and she's going to have to explain herself in some way. And somebody asked earlier in the chat of like, should Jen be at the reunion? And that's the question I have, because like Andy even said at BravoCon, like he made it seem like they had cut ties, but he'd like to do a one-on-one with her, which you've already done. Like, I mean, what do you think was going to happen from this point?
I don't know. Right now, I'm still disappointed with how the finale is going to play out. But
no, Adam, know what my idea is? I have this idea. Did I tell you this already about Mary Cosby?
No.
Okay, this is my idea. So if Jen Shah doesn't go to the reunion, if she can't go, we bring Mary Cosby into the reunion. We let her watch the entire season, and she just gets to make comments. Like it's nothing about Mary Cosby, but she just gets to make comments of like, yo, Whitney, I was proud of you, girl. Like she gets to like talk to like, we bring Mary Cosby in there. She pulls her Mary Cosby magic. We don't have any scenes with like she just gets to comment about the season. So she's just an extra body there to comment weird things. I think it would be great.
I feel like it would be fun if all of a sudden Andy Cohen goes like this and he's like, all right, ladies, everybody, we're going to take 5 real quick. Just stay put. Just stay put. Don't move. They're like, Andy, can we go to the bathroom? No, don't move. And then all of a sudden he gets up and he walks away. And then you have Mary Cosby come sit in the chair and she's
Nicki
like,
Nicki Minaj it. Like,
yeah. And she's like,
yes,
I'm back, bitches.
Dude, I don't
know why I'm using an instruction manual, but you know.
No, that would be, by the way, they were going to have to think of something creative like that to do if Jen can't come to the reunion. Like, I mean, and that's also, I guess, probably another reason why we all have so many storylines that don't involve Jen, like the Meredith and Lisa stuff and all that, because they do have to talk about other things at the reunion than the most dramatic thing that's going on in their lives right now, which revolves around Jen Shah.
Well, but the thing is like now, especially with the sentencing being pushed back, I don't understand why they would not just let her be at the reunion, because I felt like there was a huge void and a missing piece when we didn't have Mary Cosby at the last reunion. And mind you,
Well,
I understand that Mary didn't want to attend, but for Jen, based off of social media and stuff, I believe she really does, like, she wants to go there and be able to speak her piece. And it's like you're showing her all season. I think that it shouldn't be a one-on-one. It should be a do the same thing with Jen that you do with Erica. You want to use the last segment, you want to do 3 parts, and the third part, you want to talk to her about all of the shit that you would ask her in a one-on-one, then do that.
Well, I mean, I think with the moving of the sentencing and all that stuff, that could happen. I think the risk you run, and I imagine that Bravo Legal thinks about this as well. It's like the same with Erica. Is like you give this person possibly. I'm not talking about Jen, but if a person in Jen's situation, you give them an opportunity to lie again or to allegedly hang themselves with information, and you've got to be really careful because at this time you don't want to affect your sentencing even further. You do not want to affect, like you don't want to go on and say, well, this is the actual story and say another lie that's going to get you in deeper hot water. And I think Bravo probably has to protect itself in some way as well. That's just completely in my head. Like I have not heard that anywhere. Could be completely wrong. Emily D. Baker would know that way more than I would. But that was the one thing I was thinking is that like maybe you then run the risk of kind of giving almost like a politician campaign time to say why the government is guilty and why I'm innocent. And that could be dangerous in some ways.
I think I could see what you're saying if the reunion was to play out before, if the sentencing got pushed back again. I can kind of see, but then also it's either like we don't want you on the reunion because it doesn't look great for optics, but then let's do a one-on-one. I'm like, well, then you're still.
Yeah, I don't fully understand that. But like do you think like do you know anything about this? Like if she does get sentenced, do you know how long it takes for people once they get sentenced to have to report to prison? Does it like happen immediately or are there months like that she gets to have off if she does get sentenced to prison?
I talked to Emily about this. I think that there's many things that go into consideration, like if you have family things and like I think that the judge, it just depends. One, it depends on if you're a flight risk or if they think that you might end up like trying to leave or escape or whatever, which she obviously hasn't done that. So
San Diego, baby.
I think that what they would do here in this situation, based off of what Emily said, is usually it's about like a month to 3 months that they might give you to kind of rack your brain and gear up. But I'm sure that there are instances where they've given more time. And I'm sure there are instances where they're like sentenced here. Bailiff, please walk them to the back. Like, you know, I think that it really has to just be case by case.
But I mean, if this is financial crimes, is she going to be in there with Julie Chrisley, Elizabeth Holmes from Theranos, and Ghislaine Maxwell? Like, are they all going to be in the same, like, I mean, that is a reality show if you've ever seen one, but it seems like I feel like I'd heard that they would be serving at the same location, which would just be, I mean, put Andy and a camera in there because that would be amazing.
My question is if you have somebody like Ghislaine Maxwell and like, let's say Julie Chrisley, because we know for a fact that they have their sentences and that they're like, Ghislaine's already there and Julie Chrisley is about to report. Do they get protected in a sense that they are put aside because they have a celebrity attached to them? Or
well, I hear this is like those jails that they go to and jails for financial crimes are, I mean, listen, it's not Club Med, but it is better than, you know, there are levels of prison in terms of the quality of the prison.
It's not Rikers.
Yeah, exactly. Like there is a less of a, you know, it's not cushy by any means, but it's like the same place Martha Stewart served. And if you've read anything about Martha Stewart going to prison, by the end, like she was like making recipes and she was like, I mean, she was really making use of her time in prison and finding ways to make prison, you know, work for her in a way. And I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see. I do think Bravo will probably not cut ties with Jen unless there is something that we don't know, which I feel like there is something we don't know because Andy seemed pretty confident that day on stage when I watched him with the Ask Andy panel. Like he just seemed very like, well, we gotta, like it was pretty much done once she changed her sentencing. Like it seemed pretty firm that day with Andy when I was watching him on stage.
I think it would have to probably be based off of like for Teresa, they delayed filming, but they knew that it was 11 months. And I felt like that was something that they could work with. But then like for the network canceling Chrisley Knows Best, they're not going to delay that show for 7 to 12 years. Right. So I think it would probably have to be based off of the amount of time in between before they could really, because if they turn around tomorrow and they say, and this is, I'm just saying, like, say they have a housewife and they say, we're going to give you 18 months in jail. And then the rest is just going to be probation. You pay off a restitution. I think that that's something where the network would be like, okay, we'll work with that. But then if I think they turned around and said 10 years, then the network's going to be like, we don't even know if this show is going to be around in 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, Jersey, and the ratings, by the way, unfortunately, are not amazing this season, which they should. I mean, I feel like the ratings should be way higher than they are. So I'll be curious. Sex Chat 69. All right.
No. Sex Chat 69 is out. God.
I was like, what a fan. No. I mean, I don't know. I'll be really curious to see. Like, I don't know, and I'm just curious to see how Bravo handles this. And we only have like 8 episodes left, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we'll start hearing reunion rumors and stuff like that within the next couple of weeks, I would imagine.
I mean, it's literally like, it's in 2 weeks. So we shall see, Ryan. We shall see. Oh, man. Well, with that, Ryan, we've hit an hour. So you can either take the $60 or you can go on a second date with us over here. And
I'll take the second date. I'll take this.
No, but we know it's early as hell over there, and you joined us and you graced us with your presence and your Spider-Man coffee mug, and we just appreciate the hell out of you.
Norma says, can we send Rose Forever to Jen in jail?
Well, you can send Rose Forever to one of your loved ones. Just go to roseforever.com and use code Adam25 to get $25 off. And this one even has a fun drawer in case you want to put your wallet in it.
Wait. Is it Adam? Is that true? Andrea says Heather Gay said she would visit her every day in jail. Is that true?
I never heard that. I don't know where. I don't know how that works. Like, Elaine said LOL, Adam. I can't even talk. Emily D. Baker told me that you can request a place to go and to be closer to your family, depending on what options you have. But they don't have, I mean, it's the court system. They can do whatever they want. They don't have, like, if you say, no, I'm going to be around my family, they could look at you and be like,
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
God.
It's going to be 2023.
The first talking head film behind like prison glass. Could you imagine if they keep Jen on the show and they just like film through prison glass? Like are those like where they pick up the phone? They're like, yeah, Heather looked horrible that day. Like, I think that would be awesome.
I don't know what's going to happen. No. 2023 is going to be one hell of a year, guys. And we have a lot of interesting shit that's going to drop literally at the very beginning of the year. And on top of that, I mean, I've told you guys, but we're doing some revamping around here. We're doing some reconstruction, new studios, new all kinds of shit. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Ryan, if they don't know, will you let them know? Oh, shit.
Guys, over on my show in 2023, it's going to be the same wild, insane stuff. It's called So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. We had Frank Catania on this week. I did a Salt Lake recap I'll do a Salt Lake recap next week. We have the Facetune Girls on today. We did a pop culture round up with Laguna Biatch from Beyond the Blinds on Monday. We do a show usually every day. The Patreon has all the Kardashian recaps. We're doing a live Patreon on December 10th, so go sign up for a couple bucks a month. You get access to 250 podcast episodes that have never made the main feed. There is so much content of me to go around, so you probably don't need to do it, but it's a fun group of people, and we would love to join you. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's not as exciting as Up and Adam Live yet, but we put put the interviews from the podcast on there, and we're trying to figure out our way around YouTube. So if anybody hasn't, please do us a favor and go subscribe. But I wake up early just to do these because I enjoy talking to Adam so much. So thanks again for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Man, you definitely were depriving you of your melatonin the night before, because there's no way that
I know.
you would get your ass out of bed.
I didn't. I purposely didn't take my sleep medication just so I could be up for today.
Hey, up and Adam, we appreciate you. Ryan, also guys, in the description of this video, you can go find Ryan and the link to his YouTube channel and everywhere you need to go find him. And Ryan, thank you. We appreciate it.
Oh wait, and Adam's pod. Go so messy. Go listen to Adam's pod. I don't know why my camera just went down, but go listen to
Hot Messy Podcast.
I don't know. Sorry. Now the camera's go listen to Adam's pod. Okay, yeah, I'm breaking up. I'm leaving
great
studio.
Plug. Great plug. We have Aurora Copo from the Copo Sisters on TLC on tomorrow on Hot Messy Podcast. Go check it out. And then if you want the video versions of anything, you can just go to Hot Messy Podcast on YouTube. Smash that like button, get subscribed, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.